Welcome back for another video. And Merry Christmas as well if you're celebrating. Hope you're all having a good one. It's a stacked FPL schedule, there's loads to look forward to. We've got 8 games crammed in on Boxing Day, and then another couple of games on Friday, and then another game week to see the end of the year in. So as always, let's check in with what the top all-time managers are doing this week, with data from hundreds of elite FPL managers with rank histories that speak for themselves. We'll begin with the manager highlight, and thanks for the feedback on last week's upload. A new name has taken the top spot of the Experts League, Marcel, who finished on 89 points, taking him up to 737th in the world, despite, like many, Rodgers on the bench. If you were one of the hundreds of thousands that benched Rodgers, then perhaps some encouragement that even some of the very top managers did the same. The average score among the experts was 85 points, well played if you managed to beat them. Nathan Brown got the biggest score in the league with 112, and he's up to 17k himself. Consider the template ripped up. Saka's out with a long-term injury, an all-time high number of transfers with just 5% rolling this week. 36% are making one transfer, 44% of the experts making 2 moves, 13% making 3 and 1's making 4. And there is one wildcard active as well. We caught up with the expert on that wildcard. We'll have a look at that team in detail later. Loads of hits this week as well. 15 managers taking a -4 hit and 2 are taking a -8 to address the Saka injury. Let's break down which players they're buying and selling then. In fact, let's try something different. Given the significant ownership of Saka, let's actually start by filtering all the midfielders only to look at who specifically their favoured Saka replacements are. So from top to bottom, it's Bruno, Odegaard, Sarr, Luis Diaz, Amad Jota, Foden, Salah, Bowen, Gordon, Maddison and Enzo. So Bruno's the most popular pick, 26% are going for the Man United mid. 4 goals and 6 assists this season, 11 returns and 17 starts. He's got Wolves next as well, before a couple of trickier games to Newcastle and Liverpool. Odegaard's got perhaps the best fixture off the bat, home to Ipswich, then he's got Brentford, Brighton and Spurs. 15% are going for him. Interestingly, 15% are also going for Sarr and Luis Diaz as well. Those two in the best form as of late, I suppose. 3 goals and an assist in Sarr's last 2 games. I think to play devil's advocate, one argument you can make against him is the lack of consistency. So he's had 2 very good game weeks, but before that he'd returned in just 1 in 11 games. The argument against Luis Diaz is he's not completely nailed, but he's predicted to start against Leicester. It could be Jota up top, Luis Diaz on the left, Salah on the right. We've been here before though. Luis Diaz started the season incredibly well, then he was benched in Gameweek 7, benched in Gameweek 8, benched in Gameweek 10. Amad and Enzo are the 2 other budget picks on the list along with Sarr. Whatever way you shape it, there's no clear standout, which the very mixed list suggests. So let's look at the overall most transferred in and out players then among the experts. Almost every Saka owner has sold him, 88% are getting rid this week. He was 93% owned last game week, so only 5% are benching him, which is an option if you've got very good depth and you don't need to force a transfer. You could buy yourself a week to assess the best replacements after all. Trent is the most bought player, 30% are going for him ahead of Leicester home, where Liverpool's second best on the clean sheet odds this week after Arsenal. Isak's the second most bought player, joining 27% of their teams. Although Saka's the most sold player by far, it's evident that the money they're freeing up by selling Saka is allowing them to buy Trent and Isak. 21% is selling Cunha before they face Man United home. Still no word from the FA on his ban. It looks like they've got their out of office on. They'll deal with it later basically. Not a terrible plan to keep him, assuming he is available by the deadline as well, with Man United having just shipped 3 goals to Bournemouth at Old Trafford. There's always the potential new manager bounce. Greaves is the joint 3rd most sold player of João Pedro. He has lost his place in the team and he's fallen to 3.9 mil, no longer a super cheap defender we can count on. So 9% are selling João Pedro, a little bit surprising before a home game to Brentford, missing lots of players at the back, but those selling him are buying Isak in fairness. Let's have a look at the chip landscape then. So just 1 chip active this week, which was the wildcard we mentioned earlier, and that leaves just 1% that still have their wildcard available. Gameweek 19 is the last chance to use it or you lose it. After that we'll get our second wildcard. I've added the assistant manager to the table as well, which is available to us from Gameweek 24, so even more to discuss when that rolls around. So Matt Brooks has got his wildcard active and he shared his team with us. It's Alisson in goal, Gabriel, Trent and Robertson in defence, Salah, Amad, Palmer and Bowen in midfield, Isak, Jackson and Jesus up top. And on the bench is Valdemarson, Rodgers, Castagna and Howard Bellis. Here's what he had to say. I've been able to keep the wildcard in the back pocket due to no major fires, but it needs using over the next couple of weeks, and Saka's injuries pushed it back to this week rather than Gameweek 19. For the goalkeeper, I'm not convinced by any of the 4.5 mil options, so surplus of cash has pushed me to Alisson. I've had Henderson all season, and I did consider keeping him with the upcoming fixtures, but I think a set and forget premium in one of the league's best defences is reasonable. In defence, I've kept Trent for now. I have been minded to move him out on the wildcard as his numbers aren't really justifying the premium, but without an urgent need for cash and lack of other options, he'll stay for now. Gabriel comes back in as well. I've had Robinson from the start, and Castagna comes in as well as a bargain for 4.2 mil. Fulham have a nice run of games till the end of January, so this seemed like a good opportunity for now. In midfield, I keep Salah, Palmer and Rodgers. The other two places I've tweaked a bit, but currently have Ahmad and Bowen. Ahmad looks a bargain with good underlying numbers that could pop if United get into gear, and Bowen's been ticking along all season, although he has some tough fixtures after the Saints, but there aren't too many good options that I'm taking with in the 7 to 8 mil price bracket. And up front, I've kept Jackson, finally bringing back Isak after his hat-trick, and I've currently got a punt of Jesus in the front three. He's in good form and he's got Ipswich at home next. His minutes will be a risk, but with Saka out, I think he'll at least play for the next few, so I can move him to Chris Wood without too much difficulty if it becomes a problem. Incredible wildcard. I think I'd be tempted to get Munoz over Robertson to avoid the double Fulham defence, and then upgrade Valdemarsson to Fabianski. Really strong team though, some great differentials chucked in. Thanks for sending in, Matt. Best of luck on the wildcard. Moving on to captaincy, Salah 100%. Moving on to the experts team. A joking aside, I think captaincy is a wasted segment this week when they're all on Salah. If you're chasing maximum upside, then go for Palmer, but it's very high risk, high reward. So there's been a few changes to the team. It's a 3-4-3 with Raya in goal, Hall, Trent and Gabriel at the back, Palmer, Bruno, Salah and Ahmad in midfield, João Pedro, Isak and Jackson up front, and the bench is Fabianski, Rodgers, Robertson and Greaves. So Ahmad and Bruno join the team for a Man United double up, who are the only players in the 11 without a home fixture this week. Saka and Semenyo leave the team for them. Rodgers does provide some incredible depth on the bench. Villa have got Brighton and Leicester home, and Man United have got Newcastle and Liverpool. Rodgers and Bowen actually also rotate incredibly well for that fixture setup. So Salah and Palmer both 100% owned. I think at this point in the season, with Haaland not delivering and extremely expensive, plus Saka's injury, it should be more than easy enough to own both Salah and Palmer. There is a case to be made for adding Haaland to Palmer and Salah if you're selling Saka and it frees up enough money, given that City have got ridiculously good fixtures, but surprisingly no experts were going for it. Onto the experts' final thoughts and tips for Gameweek18, here's what they had to say. Guido Batista says, if Cunha's ban doesn't come through, then I'll play him over Saka. I'm not sure who I want to sell for Saka yet, so I'll leave it for this game week, as I've already absorbed the drop now. Very Messy says, finally getting Isak helps me to reduce that FOMO and trying to get ahead on buying Liverpool before they go up in price. Starting to wonder if City players are about to be the differential needed to get into the top 10k. Conkers Bonkers says 102 points in Gameweek 17 and up to 13k in the world, so I'm in dreamland. Although I'm waiting for the wheels to fall off the bus. I've brought in Ødegaard to replace Saka as I already own Bruno. With Ødegaard being Arsenal's captain, secure minutes, on penalties, and now likely to be on set pieces, it seems like a low risk, high reward no-brainer. Particularly with Ipswich at home next and the hectic fixture pile-up. Merry Christmas everyone. Mayani X says, my recent bets have paid off nicely. Bets against Man City that is, who would have thought? I started Ahmad against City, and now the latest round, Rodgers against City, when many others sold or benched him. Normally I would have benched both, but this is not a normal time. Next, it's time to handle some issues and strengthen the bench for the intense festive period. Saka is a major doubt, and I'll take some time to restructure a bit and strengthen the bench. Out with Saka and Fast, in with Trent and Sarr, who has both form and fixtures in his favour. Trent, for his part, looks sharp, and I believe he's due some returns in the coming weeks. He should also get plenty of minutes with Conor Bradley still injured. Finally, captaincy is a no-brainer, so it's nice not having to overthink that part. The Egyptian king rolls on. And lastly, FPL Addict says, replacing Saka with either Fernandes or Ødegaard feels suboptimal despite the clamour. It's unclear whether Ødegaard will benefit from the additional set-piece threat versus Arsenal's changed system without Saka, while United's XG is consistently poor. Bruno's a great player, and he appears to be significantly outperforming his teammates, which feels unsustainable. City have been terrible of course, so it's hard to justify going for any of them at the moment. However, I'm willing to take the punt on Foden. His next 3 to 5 fixtures are good, and he's got the highest ceiling of the three. The risk is always expecting minutes of him, and there is a chance he could be benched. I normally play it safe, but for a short period, the reward feels worth it. Surely City can't be bad forever. Thanks for watching, and good luck next game week. Hit subscribe if you're not already, it's completely free and you can always change your mind. See you soon for the next one.